Hi, everybody. I'm Dee Lisa. I'm the dream doula for women. I help you remember the dreams you have at night and get the intuition that's in it to weave it into your day to day life to live a magical, mystical life.
Hi, and I'm Carlyn. I am a consultant in human resources. I serve small businesses and nonprofits in California, and I help you not get in trouble with your business and not go under. I also have a course coming out soon that's super affordable that allows for you to DIY your HR.
I love it. When I first met you, Carlin, you said you did HR for small businesses. And I was like, wait a minute. What what small business needs HR? And you're like, oh, you wouldn't even know. Uh, do you have an employee handbook? Did you do all the things according to the law? And what about firing people, hiring people? So what you do is so valuable that I think a lot of small businesses don't even consider that they need that.
Until it's too late. And that is what inspired me. I used to be a really big advocate for people, individuals. I was a social worker for 10 years. And something about just, I had a friend who owned a little resort and he almost went under after 15 years of just barely making it. Such a cool place. And it was actually an international hostel. And it brought all these really cool people together. And I was like, absolutely not. I want to advocate for you. What happened to him was that somebody visited his website and found it to not be ADA compliant. And it opened up
No.
a whole huge thing where his resort was visited by ADA or, whoever is assigned to go out and do that. And they found that he needed all of these accessibility things, like for physical disabilities. Like, so he had to put in ramps and new toilets and sinks, and so expensive, so devastating. And of course, those things, are important, but I think a lot of small businesses have the, they don't have the knowledge, that could even happen, that could come from somebody randomly visiting their website. Um, and also, they don't have the resources. And he and his business partner have done such a beautiful thing for now. That was like 10 years ago, but for like 25 years. And I care and I want to help people not get in trouble in that kind of way. Um,
So
so
let
that's
me ask you a question. This brings up like my mind is like, wait a minute, what? So if you have a resort, if you have a business, are you required to make it accessible to people that have physical disabilities? What about old buildings that only have stairs and no elevator?
right. And so I've been in like a restaurant, for example, that's a historical building, and their bathroom is like, you go in there and it's so freaking small that you're like, how could somebody in a wheelchair ever get in here? So there are exemptions, but
Mm,
California, and I don't know all of the ins and outs of ADA specifically, but California ADA compliance is a really big deal. There are exemptions for historical buildings. My friend's resort was not a historical building,
oh.
but yeah, there's these things where there's gray area and a lot of people survive. Their companies, I also serve nonprofits, but they survive for years and years and years, decades without getting in trouble for things like this. It's only when something comes up. A really big one in the post-COVID era is OSHA, and just the things like my dentist, for example, and the hoops they need to jump through, are just never ending. And
Mm.
California specifically is a really tough state. So it's one of the HR is one of those things where it varies from state to state. And California is infamous for being really tough. Also, New York.
Well, California is famous for being really tough legally
Yes.
and environmentally. I mean, every car is like smog tested to California standards around the nation. And I
Right.
used to be a real estate broker, and it was all the new forms we got, or like there was a lawsuit in California. Now we need this form. And and over the years, I was a broker for 35 years. The first year I sold real estate, it was a one-page agreement, legal size paper, read the small print on the back. When I left a year ago, it's like I know in California it's more than this, but in the state of Washington, 35 pages. Each extra page or two or three was a lawsuit in California. We need to clarify this, and there needs to be more words. Please sign here.
I
And
don't know if
so
yeah.
I don't know. So obviously we need to have things accessible for people who have disabilities, and I understand that. But one of the things we talked about was what do you have an employee handbook, and how are you hiring and firing people? Like, what if you have a little tiny coffee shop? Is that important?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's not that I'm trying to jump on this bandwagon of like scaring people into you could get sued. But that is just the reality. And I don't know if it's just that people are sue happy or what it is, but I have seen, and it seems to be especially like the small businesses are so vulnerable to this
Mm,
when, and well, that's so it's usually when you're need to fire your first employee when this stuff comes up. And
hmm
people know that, and I've even seen it advertised on Instagram. People know they can sue their previous employer or their current employer due to reasons like they weren't following uh, the right guidelines regarding disability or really just classification of their job in the first place and all these things. So people know um, that those things exist and sometimes take advantage. And what I see and why I'm such an advocate for the small businesses, and I am an advocate for individual employees as well. I just think there's a better way. And it's really sad that we have to think this way, but you are firing your first employee, they get mad about it, they sue you, and your company's done. It just ruins you. And that's where I get really passionate about it. And I'm like, I just don't like that we all, me included, even still are lacking a little bit in the knowledge. I mean, I'm a super geek about this stuff. I get 1,000 email blasts about HR regulations every day. I try to keep up on it. And it's because I just want to protect these businesses that have so many hoops to jump through already outside of HR, like permitting and all that stuff. It's just wild. I don't even know how people do it.
Well, and I've never worked in up until now, I've been self-employed real estate broker, self-employed artist, self-employed whatever, meditation teacher, um, life coach. I've never worked for a company that had an HR department. So, so it seems weird to me to say that a small company needs HR advice, but also I think anyone who's worked for a big company was like, yes, of course. So what
Right.
else do you help people? What is HR? What is it that you're doing? Could you
Right.
explain it to the novice?
Okay, and thank you for that. That's a really great question. So I think what happens is that we, yes, only think of HR as a department for a large company.
Yeah.
What HR is for a small company is typically that the owner is doing it themselves. They're
Hmm.
hiring themselves and or they're buying some affordable payroll software that can help with things like filing with EDD that they hired a new employee, et cetera, like all these little things. And it can help in that way. However, an owner has a lot of other things to do than meeting all these HR regulations. Sometimes their office manager wears their HR hat and They're just, flying by the seat of their pants, hiring people. You see a lot of times with small businesses, they already know who they want. It's maybe even family that they're hiring. And that's all great. And it's not to say, their son is going to go and sue them or something. But doing it the right way is important too, just for, speaking of payroll, making sure you don't get in trouble with the IRS and stuff. So what I do is I help on an as needed basis. I don't sit in, on staff as a full-time HR person for anybody, but as an as needed basis, help with things like employee handbooks. They are important at the time that you hire your first employee. It's really important because you're putting down in words your process so that you can really think about what this looks like in terms of growth. You're really honoring your future self and your business plan and your plans for growth. Maybe you don't want to grow. Maybe you just want to have one employee forever. It's still important to have that all down in writing. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of money, but it really just covers you on all sides. It covers the employer, it covers the employee. So I help with things like that. I help with contracts. Um, goodness, really just make sure that you can check all the boxes of like minimum required things.
Carlin, this is such an obscure area. How did you get into it?
Yeah, I think what it was, again, like 10 years ago, was my passion for my friend's business that
Mm,
almost went under because I used to go there all the time. This place, this resort is so cool. Like, a beautiful, beautiful little cafe with beautiful artwork, super funky, cool people, really yummy food, really cool. The resort has like, I don't know if you've ever been to like Madonna Inn, but these rooms that are each room is a different theme, and it's just the property is absolutely beautiful with like hikes and creek and a swimming hole. And he also has, and I'm happy to say, like in the present tense, it's still open and operating, a really neat spa and yoga and meditation. It's just such a cool place. And so it's like a place that I liked going to and I still like going to. And so I really think that's what got me into it. I also was burnt out from doing the direct social work stuff. And this
hmm
after I had um, both my kiddos. And I think that it was a balance thing for me where I kind of went, I just don't want to burn out on being an advocate for individual people. And I want to shift into something that maybe I can do remotely, which I do, and really help businesses instead of people. And
I don't know anyone who's in social work who isn't burned out.
there's a lot of me
I think
out there.
that you're working with really troubled people and you're spending a lot of your love and attention and you don't get paid well.
Right. Right. You couldn't pay me enough now to do that work. Or, particularly
Yeah.
I worked in child welfare and the foster parents. That is such a job. People want to say, oh, people foster for the money. You couldn't pay me enough to be a foster parent. That is some
Mm,
saintly work that those people do. Yeah,
yeah.
so that was a lot of it. It was like I was burnt out. I had my own kids, and life was just really emotionally taxing. And
Yeah.
I still wanted to be my advocate self and help people in a way. And although my clients are small businesses and nonprofits, I I am also working for their employees to have the best work experience too.
Sure, because how you craft their policies and paperwork helps both sides.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's clarity what the company wants, and there's clarity in what the employees should be doing. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and you can call me naive, but I just look at this and I'm like, there's got to be a better way. I mean, really, somebody fires somebody and then they get sued and then their business is just done. That that sucks.
Yeah. Um, and there's probably insurance for that.
Yeah,
What? Yeah, but still.
it's
Yeah,
a
but
whole other
still.
beast. But yes, yes, you're right.
That's a whole other reality. Well, this is so cool. I'm so glad you shared this because it's like out of the box for me. And I love that you can do it remotely. And tell me a little bit about your class before I pick your brain about your own individual passions.
Okay, let's see here. So I have created a course that is launching June 1st. It
Ooh.
is very educational, kind of academic. It's a look at the entire employee life cycle from start to finish. So hiring, retention, and firing, or really just I mean, people fire, but also people leave. And so looking at that whole plan and even including things like offboarding, succession planning, and exit interviews. Um, and so it's a really accessible course. It's 2.5 hours of work. There's some interactive quizzes. There are checklists to make sure that you are compliant in what you're doing. And I think it's really perfect for a business owner who is looking to hire their first employee to really preventatively get ahead of how to do it the right way and and not get in trouble, not mess it up. It's something that would be really fantastic for like an office manager to take so that when they put on that HR hat, because they're also, they have a payroll hat, a bookkeeping hat, just general, management of a company. Um, and so that's really what it is. It's a way for me to share the stuff I do with clients one-on-one, but keep it really concise and affordable, and you can do it on your own pace. And right now, before June 1st, it is $30 off. It's 169 right now. And you can find it on my website, carlyncarterconsulting.com. I'm really excited about offering this to California small business and nonprofit owners.
That sounds beautiful. And so we'll put that in the show notes. So it's not a course that it starts on a certain day. You can take it whenever you sign up for it.
Exactly. It's self-paced.
Oh,
Just pop on, you get access on a Kajabi platform, and you do it in your own pacing.
oh, that's beautiful. Oh, so cool. Okay, that's the business side of you. Now, you told me before we started recording that you're a musician. I didn't even know that about you.
Yeah, so I grew up playing piano. I always loved it. It was hmm, yeah, it was just an outlet for me growing up. It's very, it's kind of like uh, I don't know what the word is, a little introverted as a kid.
Hmm.
So it's just a way to, yeah, be expressive and be alone in something that I just really, really loved. And as an adult in my 20s, I played in some bands. I and well, in my 30s, I played in a band. And now I am really, really owning that I am a musician. And I was saying I'm so inspired by you and you owning that title of an artist. And you were saying, and I think this is just so true, that it's so much easier to say I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm these things that society says I can be. And guess what? Like this musician part of me is a big deal. And when I repress it and when I stop talking about it, it's no bueno. It's just
I
dead.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree. There's something, I believe that creativity is a virtue. It's an energy that runs through all of us. We live in a creative universe. It's constantly creating itself. And if we don't honor the creativity that flows through our mind and our brain and our hands, whatever that is, if it's music, if it's weaving, if it's gardening, if it's cooking, if it's painting, whatever your special sauce is, and for some people it's multiple ways, if you don't do it, it kind of kills you a little bit.
that's it. It breaks your spirit. It really, um, yeah, it's just, I feel so much more alive and I bring so much more purpose to my work and to my parenting and to all the other relationships in my life when I can express myself in that way.
Yeah. So mainly do you write music on keyboards?
I do. I do.
Okay.
I also play accordion
Oh
because
my gosh, that's so fun.
because it has keys on it. And yeah, I got an accordion in 2008 and I absolutely love it. At first, again, I think maybe it was a societal thing or I needed to follow the rules, but I didn't like playing it because it kind of reminded me of like a bagpipe or something where it would like if you're practicing it
Yeah, and then you're
loud
doing this.
annoying. It's like a big sound, but I love it because it's kind of like, people playing guitar. They have something that is amplified on its own. A piano, you can't move a piano around really. I mean,
Not easily.
Elton John has like this whole crew and the grand piano comes out and it's easy, but like not for me. Keyboard, same thing, where you have to hook it up to an amp and all that stuff. So the accordion's super fun. And yeah, I've been writing some music on the accordion for the very first
Oh, how
time.
fun. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all happening.
You
And
know,
yeah,
when I was a kid, we used to go to this coastal town in Washington and go fishing with this guy named Eric Pedersen. And Eric was Swedish. His wife was Norwegian. My dad was a Swedish speaking Finn, so they made a lot of jokes about their ethnicity. And Eric and his daughter both played the accordion. And so I remember being a little kid and being at their house. And he's like, come on, let's do a duet. And they got their accordions out, and I was so amazed. Two people playing the accordions, doing a duet. I had never seen such a thing, and it's still like in my brain. And years later, I saw a bumper sticker that I had to take a picture of and send to Eric. It said, play the accordion, go to jail. It's the law. I was like, I gotta get one of those for him. Um, isn't
that
that cute? I don't know if you can still buy that bumper sticker. If not, we should make some because wow, how cool to
I
play the
just
accordion.
I'm just writing a note of that. I really want that.
If I find it somewhere, it's in my camera roll. If I find the picture, I'll send it to you. My sister and I both took a picture of her, like a selfie with a bumper sticker between our faces.
Goodness, that's
Um, oh my goodness. Yeah. That is so cool. So
uh,
writing music, playing music, hearing it on keyboards and then amplified with the accordion because the accordion and you can also do like the bass notes with it. It's you could do the
yeah.
rhythm.
Yeah, and that was the learning curve for me. I mean, it still is so I have an Italian accordion, which is, I don't know, maybe 4 octaves. It's bigger than a Mexican accordion. It has push buttons on one side and keys on the other. And the push
Yeah.
button new to me, right? Like that's not a piano. And I don't have it all memorized, but it's a thing. And there, there's a chart and you you learn it, but it has this really deep um chord that plays, that sounds when you hit this one button. It's really pretty incredible. It's a very powerful instrument. It makes a good sound.
Oh, fun. I can't wait to hear it. And you're working on an album.
I am. I am. I goodness. I started out maybe in February. I just decided this was a goal, a pie in the sky goal for this year to record an album, and I have it half written. And I don't know, I'm just playing around. I'm doing an open mic next week for I think it's just a couple songs on the accordion. Like I said, I'm like writing on the accordion. It's very different. It's very different, but fun. And even though I've had it for a really long time, when I played music in my 20s and things, I was in LA and in bands, and I was doing more amplified sound. I was like synthesizers and stuff. So this is,
Mm.
it's a different flavor for
Oh
me.
my gosh. I bet you could get something to plug in. Does the accordion plug in to set up? Or
Think it does, but I
I
am
bet
not
you could
opposed to getting it
synthesize it.
out. So,
Ooh.
you know what's cool, who I love, that Lindsay, I don't remember her name right now, who plays an electric violin. And she's practically doing gymnastics on stage. It's incredible. I don't do not aspire to that, but I bet you're right. There's an electric accordion. It's gotta exist. That could be super
Or
cool.
you could mic it and then put it in that repeater thing and then make the
Absolutely.
sounds weird, have all the little buttons at your feet. Okay, I see new crazy music coming out of you
This
now.
is a new cool thing. Years ago, I thought it'd be fun to throw on some tap shoes and make that the percussion with.
Okay, that's way too complicated. I can't even tap with nothing in my hands, like left hand, right hand tapping. Okay, that would be good,
That's
but
one
crazy.
that's one thing a lot of musicians can own, is that we can do multiple things at multiple
Right
times,
on,
different parts
right
of
on.
the body.
I I used to play a few instruments, but it was the instrument that played like one note at a time, and so people that can play keyboards and guitars well, it's like beyond me,
Yeah.
beyond me. Okay, I always ask people this. I'm not going to forget. Do you have a crazy dream to share with me? And it could be a recent
Do.
dream, a nightmare from childhood, a recurring dream, whatever pops up might be the perfect dream to talk about.
Okay, I'm gonna let you choose between. I have a recurring nightmare from my childhood. I also had an experience in high school, maybe two, of a sleep paralysis thing. Um,
Well, a lot of people are freaked out about sleep paralysis. Let's talk about that.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
It
I
freaked.
also want to know the recurring dream. Do you still have the recurring dream from childhood?
I
Does it
don't.
still come back?
It
Okay.
does.
My theory on recurring dreams is that they keep coming back until you get the message. So whatever the message was
Uh-huh.
inside that dream, my recurring dream, the message was, I won't bore you with the whole dream. The message was use your creativity. And so when I went to art school and I started saying out loud, I'm an artist, I lost that dream. But I had it for 35 years or more.
Wow.
It would
Wow.
come once a year, once every couple of years. I'm like, that dream again, what does it mean? But I don't have it anymore because I say I'm creative. I say I'm an artist. And
Yeah.
so my psyche was knocking on the door for so long. Um, so that's how to unlock the recurring dream is like there's a message in there and you're just not getting it.
Okay.
Because dreams come in it's like a different language. It's like the language of music or the language of art, the language of some other language that you don't speak yet. It's the metaphors inside of dreams are telling you something, but it's not that thing. Like the
Yeah,
alligator, it's not the alligator. The whatever is chasing you, it's not that monster chasing you. It's like, what are you running from in your waking life,
right.
etc.
I mean, that
So,
makes sense.
so
Yeah.
sleep paralysis, you woke up, but you
Yes,
couldn't move.
exactly. Yes. And I had to like look this up, right? Like, what the heck is this
You're
thing?
like, what is wrong with me? I was paralyzed. So
Definitely
what?
freaked me out. So this was that, this will age me, which is fine. I'm 41 years old. Um, but this was right after 9/11 had happened. And it probably has no link to that. I just remember that because that was a big thing that occurred. And basically, it's like a really simple dream. What I remember about it is that a man was chasing me, kind of like down an alleyway. Not the most, creative or inspired dream, but I woke up in my bed halfway, but he was there as a hologram above me or in front of me, like in my dream, kind of in front of me. But I also was aware and could see my bedroom. He's there with his arms on my shoulders. And I remember very distinctly a very thick woven kind of sweater that he was wearing. And I tried to scream for my parents. And I opened up my mouth and I was trying to scream and I couldn't vocalize anything. And it was a little bit of time where I was in that limbo and I couldn't move my body. And eventually I pulled out of it. It was super weird because I was like, wait, am I seeing my bedroom or am I seeing the dream? And it was both. It was like this translucent, um, I I wanted to say like hologram, but I guess translucent view of this person. And that's it. That's the dream. I was being chased and not necessarily choked, but like pushed up against a brick.
Interesting. Interesting. So, yeah, the meaning of that dream might be interesting to talk about. But first, let's talk about what happens when you have sleep paralysis. You know that there's a awareness when we're awake. Now, some people think this is a dream. So we're in this waking dream that Deepak Chopra calls it. Life is a lucid dream inside of a vivid now.
Ooh.
So if this is a lucid dream, here we are awake, dreaming this life. And then there's a type of awareness where we're sleeping and we're dreaming. Sometimes we're lucid inside that dream. We're like, oh, F, this is a dream. Um, so sometimes people can become aware while they're dreaming that they're dreaming, and that's called a lucid dream. So you know you're in the dream, you can watch it, be detached from it, you could be part of it, change it around, whatever. Lucid dreaming is fun if you can figure out how to do it. But then there's a space where you're asleep and there's a space when you're awake. When you're sleeping, your body is paralyzed, so you can't act out your dreams. Sleepwalkers are kind of stuck in that. They're acting out whatever they're doing in dreamland. They get up and walk around. But most of us, we're dreaming that we're running or chasing or doing gymnastics. Our body's not moving. It might be twitching a little, like you can see dogs doing this. They're dreaming and
Oh, right.
twitching. That that's so that we won't. I mean, that's like a physical restriction, so we don't lash out and like kill our spouse while we're sleeping next to someone. So you're paralyzed while you're sleeping, and you can move around when you're awake.
Yeah.
But sometimes you wake up before you're not paralyzed, and that's sleep paralysis. So for you, you woke up inside the dream, but not all the way out of the dream state.
Ah,
And I've heard other people tell me
it's not.
that they're in sleep paralysis and it's a nightmare. And so then they try to just go back to sleep, like they close their eyes instead of freaking out that they can't move. They're like close their eyes and then they back in the nightmare. and then they're waking up, but they can't move their body, and then they're in and out of this
Oh,
nightmare
no.
that is really frightening them. But if you realize that you've woken up, but your body hasn't woken up yet, then I think you can just be detached from whatever the nightmare is happening. But I've never had anyone yet tell me that they could see the dream while their eyes were open.
It freaked me out. And it happened one other time when I was
Mm,
still in high school and never again.
mm.
My brother was a sleepwalker for a
Oh,
little,
really?
yeah.
Ah,
I was just fascinated by this. Like, what is going on in my brain? And I think sleep paralysis can be a little linked to sleepwalking, and some of that can be genetic. I don't know, but
yeah. It seems like that whole system of while you're asleep, you're paralyzed, or your
yeah,
body's just not going to move. And then while you're in some level of sleep, because obviously you roll around in your bed at night. But there are times sometimes when I wake up and I'm like, oh, my arm's asleep. I've been in this position for a while. So I
right.
must have been into the dream REM sleep. So fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. And so let's just talk for a minute about what it might mean if
Yeah,
someone is holding you down or choking you or stopping you from in a dream and it's frightening and you're screaming for your parents or you're trying to get away. You can ask yourself, and you might not even remember because it was so long ago, like what was happening in your waking life that felt like someone was holding you from doing what you wanted to do.
right.
And it's not really this guy being a monster, you know, harming you in some way
Right.
because he wasn't choking you, he was holding you.
Yes.
So you couldn't get up, you couldn't get away. There was some, and what teenager doesn't feel like life is holding them back?
Right. That was like my rebellion coming out, right? It must have been, it could have been society, my parents, something was like, yeah, I
Yeah,
feel feeling held back. That's really
yeah.
cool. I never thought about it like that. I never thought about the meaning of that at the time. And
That's
hopefully,
the thing I love to do for people is, and yesterday I was on a call with someone and she's a high-powered businesswoman and she's like, tell me about this dream. And she was very confused about this particular dream where she's walking. I'll share her dream. Why not? She's got half of one of her eyes on a stick and she's walking around in the dream and people are looking at her oddly. They're not horrified, but they're like, what's this? And I was like, wow, eye, stick. People are looking at you funny, but you can still see out of both your eye and half. So what does it mean? Like for her, we wound it down to how people are seeing her and how she's seeing not 100% clearly where she's going.
mm,
But on the face value, you're like, what a nightmare. One of my eyes was on a stick and I'm walking around with it. So, like the dream language is so weird and so weavy and twisty, like a Salvador Dali move,
mhm, surreal.
painting.
Yeah.
It's very, very odd. But then when you get down to it, like, what does an eye mean?
Mm,
What does people looking at you funny mean? Or what does someone holding you down mean? And then
right.
really, what are you holding yourself from doing? Or
Right. It could have been
what
me.
is she holding herself from seeing?
Could have been her. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. I don't know, but I feel good that I have, knock on wood, not had sleep paralysis since. Maybe I worked through that, whether it was me or yeah, society or my parents or whatever, holding me back, holding me down. Um, yeah.
But if anyone listening has sleep paralysis and it freaks them out so much they don't even want to go to sleep at night. I had someone in one of my dream courses. He's like, I want to know how to not do this anymore. I'm afraid to go to sleep. I have nightmares, then I have sleep paralysis, I'm scared and I can't move. Um, just know that if you wait a few minutes, your body will wake up because your brain has already woken, but your body's still asleep.
That's so good to know.
And there's, you can think about it in a couple of ways. Like when you're going down into sleep, there's a couple of ways of dreaming where you're not really asleep yet. It's called liminal dreaming. So there's a liminal state where you're awake and you're going down into sleep. Sometimes people are in that and you're like maybe you're falling asleep and you hear other sounds in your environment and those sounds turn into part of a dream, or maybe you dream that you're falling off a step and you jerk awake.
Yep.
Everyone's been in that state. It's a beautiful state to be in, to find ideas about songs to write or inventions to make or books. um, People have gone in there on purpose to invent things and dream up things,
I
and
love that.
then you can do that too. And then
Well,
there's the other side of that is when you're waking up from sleeping, coming up, there's this liminal state where you're still asleep dreaming, but you're sort of awake. You're coming up to awakeness. And I think that's where people get the sleep paralysis. They want to be all the way awake, but they're still
mhm.
drifting up into the awake awareness.
Right. I love, and speaking of awareness, I just love that awareness that this is natural and normal, and this is what our bodies are doing. And
Yeah.
we don't have to be afraid of it. That's so nice. That's so nice to know. I'm curious, have you experimented at all with lucid dreaming?
I have a book on lucid dreaming. And I've tried lucid dreaming. In my childhood, I had a lucid dream, and I still remember it. I have tried since then. This is how I use lucid dreaming, which is like a shortcut. It's like I go to the gym once a year kind of thing. I If I'm in a nightmare and it's really, really shaking me up, like I'm falling down the side of a cliff and I'm trying to climb up and oh no, I'm gonna die. And there's somewhere in that nightmare I'll go, oh, this is a dream. I can fly. And then I will start flying and I'll wake up. So a
Ooh.
lot of people, when they first start lucid dreaming, is they remember they're in a dream while they're in it, and then they wake up. But there are several ways to lucid dream. One is it's a dream and you're just watching it like it's a movie. You're like, oh, this is a dream. You can just watch what's happening. Another one is it's a dream and you're a participant in the dream. You're the actor in the movie. So you're interacting and the dream is happening and you're part of the dream. And the third way is you are the director, the producer, the movie script writer in the dream, and you can change it. You can walk through walls. You can make people do things. You can just shift the whole story. People tell me that they do lucid dreaming and they go to the same neighborhood and interact with the same people over and over again.
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be fun? You have dream friends.
That would be so fun. I wonder if I've had, just recently I thought it was a recurring dream, but it's just kind of like I'm in this fantastical city and it's kind of like LA. And I have yeah, friends. I have a building I live in that was not real. I never lived in this building, but it is in my dream. And yeah, I just kind of do stuff. But I'm not like aware like it's a lucid dream. But it recurs and it's not a nightmare. It's
Oh,
weird.
fun, fun. So here's how people remember that they're in a dream. There's a way to have a tell, kind of like if you're playing poker with someone and they twitch, they're lying.
Yeah.
So there's a tell inside of dreams where maybe you look at a clock and the numbers are all melted.
Ooh.
Maybe you try, for me, and I forget this, I'm in a dream and I'm trying to text somebody or call someone. My electronics don't work in dreamland. I'm trying to send a I'm in, email. I'm like, it's not going. Now, if I would remember in that frustrated state in the dream, it's like, oh, this is a dream. There's a
Gotcha.
guy who did lucid dreaming so much that, in a book I read, that he saw after a year or two. of trying to wake him up at a certain time, take supplements that would help him lucid dream, go back to sleep in the morning, do all these things. He started to wonder if when he was awake, it was a dream because he couldn't tell
Ah.
because his lucid dreaming was so lucid. So he said in dreamland, if he hops, he keeps floating up really slowly. Then he
Mm.
knows it's a dream. He says, so he would be walking across, let's say he's walking across a soccer field in daytime life, and he'd go, I wonder if this is a dream. He would hop up, and if he comes back to Earth, it's daytime life. So he took himself really far into lucid dreaming where he didn't know if he was awake or if he was asleep.
Amazing.
But for
That's
him, hopping.
okay.
Uh, for me, electronics don't work. But there might be something that you see in dreamland that's just off from what would happen if you're awake.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I will try that next time in my fantasy LA world.
Oh yeah, because you can go, oh, here I am in my dreamscape with my fun friends in this cool building in this fantastic city. What are we
Ah,
gonna do now? Let's go do something fun. And I'll
I,
bring my accordion.
ah.
Maybe you can write music in there.
Oh, that would be so cool. I love what you're saying
Mm.
about like inventions and falling into sleep and yeah.
Paul McCartney wrote Yesterday and Let It Be from Dreams.
Wow.
There are many. If you Google musicians that wrote music from dreams, you'll find that Purple Rain was from a dream.
Ooh.
Uh, uh, that song from Sting, like Everywhere You Look, was from a dream.
Mhm.
Many. The book Frankenstein was written from a nightmare.
I love that book. That is a really easy book to read. I mean, it's not very long. Maybe I have an unabridged. No, Mary Shelley, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
Yeah. So she woke up from a nightmare, wrote that book.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the structure of DNA was figured out in a dream. The lock sewing machine that we use right now, figured out in a dream. Um, Lots of musicians. So yeah, you could probably keep the thing about dreaming is soon the dream goes away after the first 10 minutes of being awake. So if
Yeah.
you're going to remember music, you probably have to have a recording device next to your bed so you can sing it into a recorder or
Thank
your phone.
you. I have a recording device. I'm doing this because you know what's funny in anticipation of this podcast, I tried to remember my dream from last night and I woke up
Yay.
around 5:30 and I was in all I remember now is that I was in a fancy grocery store, like almost like an Erewhon. And but I woke up around 5:30 and I was like, "Oh, I'm remembering this. This is good." And I had a pen and paper next to me, but I went, "You know what? I'm just going to go back in the dream because my alarm's not going to go off until 7." And I wake up at 7 and I it's not there. It's
Yeah. Yeah. That's even, I do that too. I'm like, I'm going to remember that. The other night I dreamt one word and I thought, I wonder what that word means. It's not familiar to me. I'm going to look it up. It's gone. I just keep a book like this, any kind of book, although I've designed dream journals that you can buy online. I keep a book and a pen. And the other night I was like, I'm not even going to turn on the light. I'm going to write down this dream. The pen was out of ink. So in the morning, there's a bunch of images on the page, but I can't decipher it, even scribbling on it with a pencil, like detectives would do on the movies. So yeah, a recording device. Some people use a voice activated recording device, so they just can roll over and talk to it and it'll record. Although if you snore, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, okay. I might look into that because every little obstacle is, you want to get past all that. Um, yeah, because I love sleeping and I do love dreaming, but I love sleeping. And I like to even open up a pen or open up a book. It's just
Yeah, I mean that's it takes you out of your sleep, and then you have to. That's why most people just record the dreams they have right before they wake up.
Okay.
the
Yeah.
morning ones. And if you have a dream and you're like, oh, I was dreaming, but now I don't remember it, if you roll back over into that position you were just sleeping in, sometimes the dream comes flooding back.
Oh, a body, like, yeah, mind body connection.
Yeah. There's a guy who was a mystic monk, what do you call him? Um, whose name is I'm cramping on now, but he said his dreams would come back to him at night when he opened up his blankets to get back into his bed. Like the dreams were there waiting for him from the night
Oh,
before. Some people put dreams into a crystal. They have a crystal by their bed and they intend that the dreams go in there. And when they wake up, they hold the crystal to remember the dreams. So
oh.
whatever technique works for you. But I think for you, because you're a musician, recording device, and then you can let that music that comes up in dreamland just bubble up through you.
Cool. Okay. I feel like this incredible pressure. This is all me, but to write yesterday tonight, you know.
You
Oh,
know, yesterday when he did that song, he thought, surely I've heard this song before. So for 3 or 4 months, he just played the song for people and said, have you heard this song? Is this someone else's song? And finally, his friends were like, dude, it's your song. Record it. But
that's,
it, because the dream gave him the song, he was like, I must have heard it.
I tend to do that too. And it's funny because the opposite exists also, where people write a song, quote unquote, right? And it's actually just that it is some other song and it was in their head and they thought it was theirs because it's in their head.
Right. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really neat to know.
All right. Okay. Well, before we log off, is there anything else you want to share with people about HR, accordions, music, or dreaming?
Goodness. No, not well, I mean, just, I am wanting to plug this course because I believe it's really super helpful to people. It is really needed. And it's just because California's rules are so, it's just it's a beast. And I really believe in nonprofits and mission-driven small businesses and want them to thrive in a really tough situation. And so there's that. And I just enjoy talking with you, Delisa. This is
It
so
was really fun. We're gonna have to do it again when
yes.
your album comes out.
Yes, okay.
Okay. No pressure, but go keep writing.
Thank you. Thank
Okay. Well, I'll put all the info in the show notes for everybody. And it was lovely, lovely to chat with you.
Likewise. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Carlin.